Hello everybody, welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door. Welcome along to another Championship review show to keep up with the 3-game weeks this season. Where I can, I'm going to do these in two parts. So we're going to look at the Tuesday night games. This is Wednesday, that obviously happened last night. We'll do the Wednesday night games tonight, tomorrow, which will be Thursday. Hope that all makes sense. Before we get into the action, we do need to just give a shout out to our two sponsors on this show. First of all, www.fanfirst.co.uk. Love reading the ratings out of 10 in the newspaper. Well, you can give the ratings here at fanfirst.co.uk, a user-generated rating site. Just go in, register, let the website know which team you support, and go and get rating. Rate the players, the managers, the entertainment, the referee, even the VAR in the Premier League. www.fanfirst.co.uk. And as this is the review show, we need to thank our fan sponsor, Russ Peake, a fan and now a friend despite Ben's terrible taste in football teams there. Russ is a good friend of the show and sponsors all of our Championship review shows. Right, let's get into it. 6 games last night. Here are your scores. It was Barnsley 3, QPR 0. Blackburn 2, Reading 4. Borough 2, Coventry 0. Brentford 1, Norwich 1. Wycombe 1, Watford 1. And Swansea City 2, Stoke City 0. So, our first port of call is another win for Reading. This is getting crazy now. What an incredible start by the Royals. Off they go to Blackburn. And it was Blackburn 2, Reading 4. And many people, including me, said, okay, this will be a very revealing expose of what we're really going to get from Reading this season. Blackburn, good front three. You know, they've won some games quite handsomely. If Reading are the real deal, they'll go there and win maybe. Well, are Reading the real deal? Because they went there and they won quite handsomely by the look of it here. Reading there, pretty staid, solid formation. Be interested in terms of that team shape, because they have been playing 4-2-3-1. If there is a Reading fan who watched the game, can let me know whether it was a 4-3-1-2 or SofaScore have got that wrong, because it has been Rinomhota and Laurent, with normally Lucas João up front and possibly Elise off the left and Semedo in the 10 and Maite down the right. Let me know in the chat if that team shape is correct, or he did indeed plump for a 2 up top. For Blackburn, that looks pretty unchanged to me. Maybe Holtby coming in, and someone will correct me in the chat. But the front three that scored 4 with the on-fire Adam Armstrong, you can see he's going to get another 2 in this one, stayed the same with Harvey Elliott in there. So no spot for Tyrese Dolan or Sam Gallagher, although you can see they are both going to get on the pitch. Right, let's have a look at this. And literally straight from kickoff, you know you're in a good moment where you take a centre, you boot it down the ground just to get up the pitch, and it's a complete aberration here, knocked, I think, by the Blackburn player just to the side. I think the keeper has moved over because he thinks it's coming all the way through. That's Pear's in goal rather than Kaminsky, by the way. I should have mentioned that. And look, it leaves Maite with an open goal after 10 seconds to slide it in, and he puts in his 4th of the season. Reading have had a really great start, but things are going right, aren't they, at the moment? Very confident and in a very good mode at the moment. Speaking of very confident, look at that for a finish. Adam Armstrong there, under pressure, on the half volley, off both feet off the ground there. He's going to guide that in on the near post. Adam Armstrong is increasing in value every single week, isn't he? And he's going to get another goal in this one and go up to 9 in the first 8 games. So there's the equaliser. There is Michael Elise dribbling through. A nice goal that. They caught them. And Elise runs away from his man and sticks in for 2-1. And with their 3rd shot of the half, Reading just ruthless in front of goal this season. Not even in front of goal, ruthless from anywhere. Look at that. I remember Michael Elise scoring one from even further out against Barnsley. That's Josh Laurent. And at the moment, if you're a Reading player and you shoot from 25 yards, where do you think that one's going? Beautifully in off the post. What a great goal by Josh Laurent. That's been a good signing, hasn't it? Honestly, I didn't suspect him to be, the first team influence that he has been, with people like Swift and Rinomota and Elise potentially also in those positions. So, kudos for the recruitment there. 3 shots, 3 goals, 3-1, half time. Love it. Love that as well. That's Adam Armstrong. Talk about Reading being ruthless in front of goal. Look at Armstrong there, guiding the diving header in from the cross from the right wing. Brilliant from Armstrong. He is on fire. But so are Reading. And here is a textbook example by Lucas Zhao of how to use a player as a screen. Look, Pears just looking round to his right. Zhao is going to use the defender as the screen and just shape that right-footed into the far corner. And Reading are going to win again, 4-2. That is 7 wins and a draw from the first 8 games. This is a sensational run from Reading. There are the numbers. Blackburn, 65% in the possession, 6 shots to 4 on target. Look at that. Reading, 4 shots on target, 4 goals. Ruthlessly clinical at the moment in front of goal. 2 big chances to 1 to Blackburn in that game. Although I suppose when we're talking about ruthless finishing, Armstrong did finish his 2 chances absolutely beautifully. 620 passes to 327. But what we're getting with Reading at the moment is just massive efficiency, isn't it? Any tight game, they're winning. They're literally winning any tight game. And it's now gone on for enough games for us to be looking at this and thinking, I mean, go and sit and do the maths now. That's 22 points from 8 games. You're now looking at 60 from the remaining, how many have we got left? 38 to hit the playoffs. So already Reading have put themselves in a position where they can basically play mid-table form and they're going to finish in the playoffs with this start. That's actually how you can start looking at this now. The longer these type of starts going, it makes it, just trundle along now and you're going to land in the playoffs, aren't you? Sort of win 1, draw 1, lose 1 probably for the rest of the season, and you're going to end up in the playoffs there, 1.66 over each game extrapolated. Blackburn, yeah. So Blackburn have got some very good forward players, and Armstrong is on fire, but there's now a little bit of a sense that they've flat track bullied those big wins against Coventry and Derby and Wycombe, and they need to do something a bit more substantive, is that the word? Against maybe a few more top 6 teams for us to think that they're going to be in with a playoff challenge, but they're potentially going to have a striker who's going to score a hell of a lot of goals this season. He's already got 9, so 1 more and he's half the way to 20 with, barely any of the season gone already. So Blackburn, yeah, that's my read. Good forward players, need to do some stuff against some of the teams that are going to finish in the top 6. Reading, it's just incredible. Paunovic, if he quits Reading now, will be their greatest manager in history for all of eternity, because how can you beat 7 wins and a draw from 8 games? Well, win 8 of them, I guess, but you know what I'm saying, don't you? Will it continue? Now, there seems to be a bit of a crisis of ability to cope among Reading fans here, I have to say, with the switch in expectations. What I would say to Reading fans, because I've seen a lot of Reading fans, frankly, not being able to cope with what's happening here, which is very strange because you should be really enjoying the brilliant start. Let me just speak directly to Reading fans here. It is not unreasonable for us watching from the outside to say, this is amazing. Can they keep it up? This is a surprise. Can they keep it up? That's not unreasonable, okay? It's unreasonable to say, this is a fluke and it's definitely going to stop. That's unreasonable. We can't predict the future. But it's not unreasonable for us to question Reading going from, well, where did they finish? Lower middle of the table last season with Bowen, and the season before avoiding relegation, signing Oliveira on loan and bringing in Jose Gomes. It's not unreasonable for the outside world to say, wow, this is quite the change. Can they keep it up? It's also not unreasonable to say Reading are performing with ruthless efficiency in their games. Can they keep it up? And it's also not unreasonable for us to say Reading are winning all of their tight games and everything seems to be going in their favour. They're playing well. None of those things are unreasonable to say. I've just seen a few Reading fans, like I say, and it's not the outside world that's got the issue. Yes, fair enough if people are making unfair comments to the effect of, oh, Reading are definitely going to drop down. They'll come down with the Christmas decorations. This is yeah, that's unreasonable, fine. But if it's someone perfectly reasonably saying all of those things I just said, ruthlessly efficient in goal, in front of goal, tight games going in their favour, and it's an incredible start, can they keep up? Those things are not unreasonable to say. If you're a Reading fan and you're getting very defensive about people saying those things and you're arguing with everybody online and frankly behaving like Reading have been Liverpool under Klopp for the last 3 years and how dare anyone question their 7 wins and a draw, the issue is with you if you're getting defensive about that. So that's what I'll say. I've seen a few Reading fans and the struggle to cope is theirs, not the outside world's. It's been a very, very big change. If you are a Reading fan and you do want my advice, enjoy this. And when someone says, can they keep it up? Maybe the answer should be, yes, this is a massive surprise. We're performing brilliantly and I hope it continues. That might be the answer rather than, how dare you question our 7 wins and a draw from the first 8 games. But please, Reading fans, I tip my hat to your team. What a start. What a start by Paunovic. Brilliant in front of goal. Ruthlessly efficient. And here's the thing we do know. 22 points. 22 points on the board already. It's getting to the point where if Reading get to 10 games, say they score another 4 points from the next 2 games, and they get to 10 games with 25 points, it really gets to the point where Reading can be quite average and they're going to finish in the playoffs. So that is what I will say. Whether or not this continues, this start is so good that it's becoming to look like Reading can pootle through the rest of the season in just average form and they'll finish in the playoffs, and just decent form now. Do you know what I mean? This could really, really have an influence on this table the longer this crazy, brilliant run goes. So that's my view on Reading. Lots of fun with Reading fans online at the moment. Just enjoy it, Reading fans. It is a surprise. Be honest. Be very honest with yourself. It is a surprise, but it is absolutely brilliant, the start Reading have made, and I tip my hat to you. Off to South Wales, and it was Swansea 2, Stoke 0. And obviously I tipped Stoke to win this game, and they're mini unbeaten. I think they've gone win, draw, win for 5 or 6 games maybe. That ends at the hands of Swansea. Danda coming in for... went high there, didn't I? Danda coming in on the number 10 position there for Swansea. So a bit of rotation. And look there, Ryan Manning makes his first start there. So yeah, a lot of rotation. Look on the bench there. Bidwell, Cabango, Smith. Gyökeres, well, that's interesting because Cooper's gone again with Lowe and Ayew up front. But... Still, Woodman, Bennett, Grimes, Fulton, Ayew. The spine of the team remains in. I suppose we include Connor Roberts in there. Stoke, fairly stayed. Look at that. Davis, Fox suited Chester, Smith McLean. Timon comes back in. Obi, Oakley Booth, Brown and Vogt. So the ability to rotate up front there with Fletcher and Campbell on the bench. I think they both started in the last game. They definitely both featured because they both scored against Brentford, didn't they? And it was 2-0. In this one, there is the opening goal. That is an absolutely brilliant goal, by the way, by Jay Fulton. It's come out to him, and you can see there, that's on the half volley. And what you can't see, because I don't have the rights to show you championship footage, obviously, but is he's going to float that back. It comes at him quite quickly. He half volleys it with the outside of his foot, floats in off the bar and lobs the goalkeeper. Brilliant goal by Fulton then. Bit of instinctive play by him. And to wrap up the win, that is Casey Palmer, brave header. He's about to get clattered by Davis for Stoke, the keeper there, and head that in. Palmer coming off the bench. I'm interested to see how Palmer does. I thought he's a really good player for a long while. He's gone on loan from Bristol City to Swansea, and he's off the mark with a goal there. They've got Gibbs-White in that position as well, and Dander obviously starting this game. So some options there for the Swans, and they're going to win this one 2-0. And if you look at the numbers, looks like a fairly workaday win. Stoke, no shots on target, no big chances. That's the key there in this game. Stoke, often at their worst, can be accused of being passive, but they will make it hard for the opponents. When the opponents then play well and don't let them have anything, that's the net cause, isn't it? Or the net result, excuse me. So no chances really for Stoke in this one. 18 shots, 6 on target for Swansea. 10 corners, 1 big chance, hit the post. 9 shots in the box. Look at that, although Stoke completed more passes. There you go. You'll always get one stat go against your narrative, but looked like a fairly decent win for Swansea there. Let me know if you think different in the comments. And Swansea in a good moment. They've lost Rodden, but they look well stocked, don't they? And you start to look, oh, well, you've got now, like I was saying, Gibbs-White and Palmer for that 10 position. Bidwell and Manning for the 2 players in the left wing-back position. You've got Gyökeres now as backup to Ayew and Lowe playing up top. So they look fairly well stocked and in fairly good form, Swansea. Stoke, I still maintain that they will churn out enough consistency to be there or thereabouts this season. And it's congratulations to Wycombe, who finally, on round 8, have their first point. And they get it against one of the big boys. Wycombe won, Watford won. Lots of talk in the lead up to this about respective wage bills and salaries and player quality and club size. Well, Watford go to Wycombe with their stars and they don't win. Look at that. Akinfenwa starting for Wycombe there. Kashket, Horgan and Wheeler playing off him. So it looks like a slight tweak of system. Let me know if you watched this one and that team shape is actually correct. In terms of Watford, a bit of rotation from the game against Bournemouth, which we did as a watch-along. But still, look, Foster in goal. Cathcart, Ekong, Kabasele, centre-halves. Kiko and Sema as the fullbacks. Cleverly and Kapue. Keener and Sarr wide with Yao Pedro. Just such quality in that Watford team. But they're not going to be able to go to Wycombe and get the win. And by God, it could have been worse. Look at that. Akinfenwa with a huge chance to, pretty much most of the goal gaping there as the ball comes at him and he puts it over the top there. That is Ismaila Sarr, who got that fabulous assist. He's now starting to function in the Championship. Bit blurry, but he's on the back post, going to head it in now. We're expecting high levels of output from Sarr. That's already an assist and a goal now in these 2 games. Expect those numbers to rack up from a player of that quality. However, there is Stewart. You can't quite see the ball, but one thing Wycombe are, they're good in the air and they're good at set plays, and he heads in direct from that set play. Just at the end of the game here, the old wily Glenn Murray makes a clever run. Okay, it's on the angle, but he sticks that just wide of the post. Big chance there for Watford to win the game at the death. Let's look at the numbers and see how competitive Wycombe were. And by God, look at that. Look at the big chances there. 4 big chances and 4 big chances missed. So, I didn't watch the game. I've watched the highlights package here. Anyone disagree with me? The numbers say Wycombe could have won this one, don't they? A 1 big chance for Watford there. 4 shots on target to Watford, 6 for Wycombe. Obviously, 68% possession to Watford as well. 6 blocked shots. So it looks like Wycombe defended fairly well. But easily the most encouraging, by far the most competitive, obviously, and they get the point as well for Wycombe. And does that now give them the confidence? Everyone's saying, whipping boys. Well, they've now drawn against one of the parachute teams, and it doesn't look like a fluke. 4 big chances created, 1 for Watford. Okay, Murray missed that chance, but then so did Akinfenwa. We've shown both of them. And they've got the point. So that hopefully bodes well for Wycombe in terms of them. They just now want to not be whipping boys for the next few games. They want to be competitive, put some points on the board, and then go from there. And then just frankly see what happens in terms of their survival. For Watford, I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Was it an off day? Did Wycombe deserve it? I suppose if it was an off day, then you can say, well, at least they didn't lose. And obviously under Ivic, they just don't concede very many goals as well. So that solidity does still appear to be there on a bad day. However, all things considered and big picture, Watford should, you would think, be going to Wycombe and winning if it's a case of better players and bigger, higher salary teams prevail. Not always the case though, is it? So well done, Wycombe. It was Wycombe 1, Watford 1. Another 1-1 draw here, and another late goal for Norwich to score them some points. It was Brentford 1, Norwich 1. Over at what's the new Brentford Stadium? I don't even know. The Brentford Community Stadium? I don't know what it's called. The new Brentford Stadium. 1-1 here. Brentford, their little tweak there in midfield. Janelt have played the last 2 games, so Marcondes comes in for him. Pontus Jansson still out. They go back to a back 4. They played a 3, I think, in the last 2 games at Wednesday and at Stoke. So back to the back 4 there, and just Sørensen filling in for Jansson. And the front 3, is that going to be the new front 3 for the season? Do we think now has Ghoddos taken Kanyos' place? Ghoddos, Tony and Mbeumo. Certainly Tony and Mbeumo look stayed. For Norwich, another Sørensen there. I was under the impression he was a central midfielder, but he comes in at left back for Quintia. I guess, I don't know what's going on there, whether that's a COVID thing or an injury thing. Someone let me know in the comments. And after a couple of goals from sub appearances, Mario Vrancic starts in the number 10 position ahead of Jordan Hugill. Otherwise, as you were for Norwich, and Pukki moves back up front for the Canaries. I don't think it went down as a big chance because maybe some pressure on the shooter. That looks like a big chance to me for Emi Buendia early in the game. And then really it switches over to Brentford. There's the opening goal. Cantwell mistake leaves Sørensen up the pitch and Mbeumo in behind him. Crosses in. And Ivan Toney is on fire. At the moment, with Adam Armstrong and Ivan Toney, we expect him to score in every single game. That's the way this is going. And Toney does it again. Big chance on a plate, sticks it in. That's what you've got to do when you play up top for Brentford, isn't it? Play the penalty box and the pattern of play will bring you the goals. God, here is the Norwich equaliser. Now, there's been a sense in their other games where we have to give Norwich credit and say, okay, they wore down particularly Birmingham and Wycombe. They had loads of possession. They had loads of efforts. It was just getting the big chance and taking the big chance. They wore them down. It's a worldie that wins them the game against Wycombe, wasn't it? Vrancic with the free kick. And then, yes, they did deserve to beat Birmingham, didn't they? But this one looks a bit different because it's a massive deflection. I mean, look. The chances of scoring from there are so slim. McLean hits a pretty speculative shot. And of all the places it can go, it deflects off Sørensen, wrong foots Raya, and rolls into the corner. So Norwich, they get points again. Great to be scoring points. But the interactions I've been having with you Norwich fans are, like me, you need to see viability about consistency of performance and wins. And still, it's just not there, is it? In terms of a viable, just the high possession numbers, create big chances, don't concede any, win 2-0, 3-0 or something. All of the victories are, so Huddersfield on the opening day, huffed and puffed Corberon's first game. That would be one, wouldn't it? Then Rotherham, 94th minute penalty against 10 men. Birmingham, okay, Birmingham very defensive, but 85th minute goal or something against a stacked defence against the 10 men there. And the one against Wycombe, half puff, and one of your players has to bend a free kick in the top corner in stoppage time. None of those are really that viable, relying on huffing and puffing, breaking the team down, a red card in 2 of the games, and a worldie from Vrancic in the other game. So let's have a look at the numbers in this one. Do we see viability for Norwich? No, not really. Okay, 57% possession. Yeah, Norwich are a great possession team, aren't they? 14 shots, but 5 on target for Brentford, 3 for Norwich, 3 corners apiece. 2 big chances for Brentford, 0 for Norwich, although that Buendia one does. The algorithm not quite picking that one up for whatever reason. The one thing I guess you would see there, shots inside the box for Norwich, 10. So some sense there. But at the moment, and I'll still stand by this, and it might change, Norwich, and everybody wants us to predict the future, basically, when we're talking about football here on YouTube. There's nothing in terms of solid evidence on what has happened so far that predicts Norwich are going to go on and consistently dominate teams yet. Now, there may be many reasons why that hasn't happened yet, and it will. That may be the case, and truth will out in the end, and they've just come up against a load of stacked defences, and maybe Corber on early and then Bournemouth away, and the Derby one was a bit, they could have won that one 99 times out of 100 and end up losing it. But just not seeing Norwich yet put up a performance or 2-3 performances, despite 3 wins and a draw. This is the standard we're holding Norwich to after 18-19 season, by the way. Despite 10 points in 4 games, which is brilliant, isn't it? It's superb form. But in terms of patterns and evidence of it working itself out into a promotion, like a lot of us expect from Norwich this season, not seeing it quite yet. It may well click. I look at the mitigating factors against the teams they've played, and I just look at the quality on the pitch. Aarons, Buendia, Campbell, Pookie, and Skip and Rupp seem to be playing well in central midfield, which actually, when Norwich went up, that was a position where it wasn't necessarily solid. 3 or 4 different permutations through the season of central midfielders. So, Norwich, I'm not unconvinced because of the quality and some of the mitigating factors in some of the games. But my position on Norwich is I still haven't yet seen the evidence in what has gone so far of a viable, 20 points from 10 games coming up in the next 10 games. However, they've got 10 points from 4 games. So they're knocking it out yet so far without being convincing. That may change. I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm just saying the evidence thus far is Norwich haven't clicked yet. They might go on to click or they might not, for those of you who want me to predict the future. In terms of Brentford, it looks decent. They're not quite in their stride yet. We had that odd turnaround against Preston where they were 2-0 up and ended up crashing and losing 4-2. I think they're missing Janssen a little bit. I think given the state of the goal in this game, that they will consider themselves, they probably should have won this one. But, hey-ho, they didn't. From a very positive point of view, Tony is banging the goals in. That's all working well. I think the front 3, there's probably more to come in terms of them all contributing. But Mbuemo's getting the assists. Remember, from a Brentford point of view, I was having a chat the other day with someone in the comments. You don't need to score 80 goals to get promoted. You really don't. There was this conversation of, we need to replace all of these goals that's gone. No, you don't. If the goal difference is positive at the end of the season, you should win a lot of your games, shouldn't you? So what I'm saying is you don't have to win 3-1. You can win 1-0 and not score, get promoted with 60 or 70 goals rather than, I don't know what they got last year. Did they get 80? I couldn't tell you, but they scored a lot of goals last season, Brentford, and the whole of the front 3 did. So maybe a little tweak in expectations that if Brentford can just win tight games, service Tony, keep the ball, dominate possession, doesn't have to be 3-0, 3-1, 3-2, 4-1, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I don't necessarily buy the argument that Watkins and Ben Rama's goals need to be replaced. It's just the goal difference needs to turn into points, i.e. there's no point creating 60 chances in 3 games, winning one of the games 4-0, and then drawing the other 2 because you didn't take chances. So it's about game management for Brentford. I think Norgard and Janssen, whenever they come back, help with the game management. But I think that's the key at the moment for the Bees. Brentford 1, Norwich 1. Now, is anybody else like me just suspiciously keeping an eye on Neil Warnock going 7 games unbeaten and slipping his way into the DMs of the Championship playoffs? I'm noticing it. I'm sure some of the rest of you are noticing it, because it was Borough 2, Coventry 0, and I'll repeat that, Borough are 7 unbeaten. They've had 4 draws, but just remember who's managing this team and what this guy has repeatedly managed to do over his career is all I'll say. Borough look fairly settled, don't they? Howson, Morsey and Saville, the 3 at the back, Tavernier and Spence wing-backs. Sombalonga and Roberts come back in. I think one or both of them possibly was rested at the weekend. For Cov, very, very settled. Rose would be injured. He got, suspended. He got red card at the weekend. McCallum seems to have replaced Darbo. Now, although Darbo is not around, so maybe he's injured. Someone correct me. Hamer returns to the team. Shipley, Allen, Godden is the front 3 here. But Borough are going to win the game 2-0. And I wanted to put that one up because I love a defence splitting pass. Look at that. Sam Morsey there, back, 40, 45 yards from goal. And look where this ball's going to end up. Completely splits the 3 centre-halves of Coventry. And Britt Assombalonga, if you give him service like that, will run in behind. And in the most part, he will finish. So 1-0 there to Borough. And you can see there at the end a breakaway. You freeze the pitch and you say, what on earth is the keeper doing? But to be fair to him, the entire right-hand side open up for the second goal there. And that is Spence, isn't it? Getting in behind and obviously sliding it into the empty net. 2-0 to Borough in this one. You can see wearing them down in the end. 81st and 90th minute goals. Looking at the numbers from a Borough point of view, 17 shots, 53 possession, 2 big chances, hit the woodwork. When I was talking earlier in the video about Norwich wanting just a comfortable looking win from the numbers, this is it, isn't it? Because then look at Coventry's numbers. 3 shots, 1 on target, only 2 corners forced. No big chances, 1 shot inside the box. Comfortable for Borough, it looks, in the end. And a nice workaday win. Let's talk about Coventry quickly, because this is starting to look worrying now, because they have not won for a while. And we'll do the table at the end of the show. But they are sliding closer towards that relegation zone. And we all looked at the teams going up and we thought, okay, Coventry played some nice football last year. They look nice and settled. But at the moment, Rotherham look a bit more competitive, and obviously Wycombe have only just picked up their first point. So Coventry looks a little bit worrying, especially that stat there, 3 shots, 1 on target. That's not going to get you many points at all, that level of chance creation. On the other hand, Borough now, and I'll flash this one up, that is the last 7 games, and 3 wins and 4 draws. Okay, for automatic promotion, if that's what we're talking about, you would want, so what is that? 3 wins and 4 draws is 9, 13 points. So you'd want, it probably is enough in the end. You want 2 points per game, wouldn't you? So just 1 short of that. But look at the teams that they've played as well. So in there is Bournemouth, Reading, Bristol City and Cardiff away. So Cardiff finished in the playoffs. Bristol City and Reading have both started the season like a house on fire, and Bournemouth are one of the parachute teams. So is this starting to look like a viable, definitely top half chase? Top 8? Playoff chase? I don't know, but all I know is that Borough are in there at the moment, in the mix. They've played some hard games. They've not lost. They've only lost on the opening day away at Watford. That's another. So I think the fixtures have been quite tricky as well. And they're very, very competitive. And look who's sitting in the dugout is all I will say. And if there's one guy on this planet who's been the master at, eking out that consistency and just getting teams' belief and competitiveness and pulling promotions out of the fire, it's Neil Warnock. So maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Maybe they'll go 10 without a win or something. But at the moment, looks quite viable, doesn't it? Barnsley 3, QPR 0. And a rather lovely debut game for Valérien Ismaël. I'll work on that pronunciation as we go. We've got any French subscribers? Help me out with that, because people do hold us to a rather high standard here and expect us to be able to pronounce international names from about 1,000 different countries correctly. But I'll have a go anyway. So, as I say, Ishmael in the dugout for the first time. He wins 3-0 against Rangers here. Obviously, big mitigating factor is an early-ish red card to Rob Dickie. In terms of the continuity, if I was a Barnsley fan, I'd probably be quite pleased to see the same system and a lot of the same players. We wondered how he would configure it up top. Chaplin and Woodrow with Freeser off. Remember, he had Freeser at Lask in his previous job, so familiar to the player. Mowat and Styles in the central midfield. For QPR, well, they seemed to put out a load of attacking players in the last game. A little bit more balanced. Maybe they knew that because they were playing against Karanka that they could do, and that Birmingham were going to be very defensive. But Dieng and Hämäläinen are still in that back five. The shirts are theirs. Can they keep them over Lee Wallace and Lumley, the keeper? Barbe, Dickey, Kakai, that's been stayed. Ball and Carroll with Adoma, Bon, Chair and Dykes up top. And key moment in this game, there is, Rob Dickie with Corley Woodrow. Dickie's got his arm around him. That is actually going to progress another couple of yards, actually, from where I screenshot that. And Dickie pulls down Woodrow. Obvious goal-scoring opportunity. Fun argument by, I think it was Luke Amos was arguing with the ref, saying, look, the keeper's got it covered. Obvious goal-scoring opportunities kind of don't include the keeper often, do they? Unless he's literally got possession of the ball. But this one looked like a fair call by the ref. Let me know if you disagree in the comments. However, it's all done now because it happened. The red card got given, and there is Woodrow. Spot the ball there, top left-hand corner as we're looking. Sends the keeper the wrong way and gets the goal. Now, there is the second Barnsley goal, and it still doesn't do it credit. This is a really nice goal. I think it's Anderson, and then Woodrow comes short, plays a lovely little flick around the corner, and then down the left-hand side, I can't remember who crossed it in, possibly Mowat, and it's a touch and a finish. You wouldn't think he'd score from them with the pressure on the ball and the players in the way, but Chaplin sticks that one in. No, it probably wasn't Mowat, being he's in the back of the shot there. But 2-0, obviously the caveat is they're playing against 10, aren't they? So, good goal though. Really nice goal. 2-0 Barnsley. And the third one's a bit embarrassing there. Barbe is just going to try and intercept that from Woodrow. You can't see the ball, but he's about to poke it with his left foot, trying to poke it back to Dieng, presumably to clear. He completely overhits it, gets the angle wrong, sells Dieng down the river, and puts in a pretty cringy own goal, it has to be said there. And it ends 3-0. There are the numbers. Look, the red card there, 26th minute. So no big chances for Rangers thereafter. Only 2 shots on target. And as you can imagine, look at that, 5 big chances for Barnsley. So a nice performance, a nice win. Again, I don't know. I mean, let me know if you're a Barnsley fan. You would have wanted the 3-0 in a selfish way to have been without the red card. So you can say, okay, we've won. And we won without any mitigating factors. So in predicting the future mode, can we use this win as a predictor for future success? No, probably not because of the red card. But still, will it build confidence? Yes. Is it? Will you take it? Will you take the 3-0 and the 3 points? Of course. And it's an opening debut win for Valérien Ismaël. For QPR, it looks a bit worrying now. Goals have dried up and the defeats are coming. We'll look at the table in just a minute, but Rangers in poor form and most definitely trending downwards. Barnsley 3, QPR 0. And so those were the 6 fixtures, and here is your league table, and look at Reading. Oh my goodness me. 22 points. So essentially, for playoffs and, I don't know, high 70s, 76 points maybe, Reading only need another 64 points from the remaining 38 games, and they're basically going to make the playoffs. Where will this end for Reading? Are they going to keep this up? Are they going to be like Norwich were in 18-19, surprise us all and just bomb to the finish line? Who knows? Good luck. Godspeed. Hats off. But just remember what I said earlier in the video. If you're a Reading fan, it's not unreasonable for other people from the outside to say, can they keep this up? This is a surprise. They're being ruthless and things are going their way at the moment. Hey, it could continue, but it's not unreasonable for us to ask. But what a start by Reading. Swansea, look at that. 15 points, so not quite 2 points per game, but second spot, they're only one defeat. Watford, the same there. I suspect both Swans and Watford will be happy with that start and just one defeat. Look at Watford's goals against. Conceding 1 goal every second game. And I suppose I should credit Reading with 3. By the way, look down at Birmingham. Only 4 conceded as well. Mighty tight there. Norwich, well, the form says 10 points in 4 games, which is brilliant. The patterns of play say we're still not sure what's viable and what's going to happen in the future. Let's wait and see and find out. But they're in there. They're in 5th spot without necessarily convincing so far. Middlesbrough, again, 7 unbeaten. Edge of the playoffs. Warnock in the dugout. Stoke had been on a nice run. They lost to Swansea and they'll lose ground this round. Brentford, 2 without a win now, and they will feel, well, I think Stoke were quite good value, but they will feel they should have got more from the game against Norwich, especially given a deflected goal at the end. Blackburn, well, are they flat track bullies? Have they got some really good forwards, but not the ability to win hard games? We'll find out. Hats off to Armstrong, though. Amazing form from him. Barnsley are in 16th. They'll be really pleased with that. 4 unbeaten, and it's amazing what a win does on the end of that because they've been 7 without a win. And now we can turn around and say 4 unbeaten, 6 points from 4 games. Keep it up and a good start for the new manager. QPR are sliding down the table. That, I believe their only win was on the first day against Forest, wasn't it? So that is 7 without a win, 3 points off the relegation zone. 3 defeats. They need a win from somewhere, don't they? Coventry, the same. I can't think when their win was. Someone will remind me, but certainly hasn't been from the last 5 games there. And they're not in good form. 1 point from the last 5. Sliding down, which could be in the relegation zone if Derby gets something from their game tomorrow. And Wycombe, congratulations. First point from them. Far, far more competitive. And without sounding patronising, that's got to be the stages here for Wycombe. Can we expect them to go from 7 straight defeats to scoring the 1.3 points per game it'll now need for them to get out of this? No. But can we expect them to go straight from that to now belief, being competitive? And they did it against Watford as well. So that is key for Wycombe. Good luck. There are your top goal scorers. Wow. So Armstrong 9 and Tony 8. Remember, we have only played 8 games so far. So those 2 are on schedule. I know we have this a lot with flying starts, but they're on schedule for mighty seasons, those 2, if they can keep this up. Zhao moves on to 5 and Maite as well. So Reading have been ruthless with their finishing. Those 2 players, particularly their 9 goals between them. Brilliant stuff. Woodrow sliding in there as well with a goal last night. He's on 3. Always find it a revealing one. Big chances created. Bidwell at the top, which tells us Swansea are progressing their fullbacks. De Silva for Brentford and Holtby for Blackburn and Buemo as well for Brentford. So 2 Brentford players there. Shows us, as ever, Brentford create a load of chances. Another wing-back there in John Giles. Cornick for Luton. Buendia now. He's barely started any of the first few games. He's already in there. Expect him to post huge numbers. Again, one of the big players who didn't leave the league in the transfer window. And Brereton for that Blackburn attack. Toffolo, another fullback, and Martin going in and posting good numbers for Bristol City since his signing. There you go. Right, that was the Tuesday night review. We'll be back tomorrow with the Wednesday night games. Get your thoughts in the comments. The picture will be a bit clearer tomorrow because we're only really halfway through the game round. But still very revealing stuff. Not looking good if you're a QPR fan at the moment. Looking very good if you're a Reading fan. Norwich still not quite there. Brentford still not quite there. Barnsley first win for their manager. Wycombe first points there. Have I missed anyone out? Will I commend Swansea as well? Nice form from them. Get your thoughts in on any of those teams. And head over to FanFirst, www.fanfirst.co.uk, a user-generated ratings website. I'm going to pop over there after the watch-along tonight and get involved there. www.fanfirst.co.uk. Register, get rating. And thank you again to Russ Peak, a fan and now friend. Despite Ben's terrible taste in football teams, Russ is our fan sponsor of the review show. Probably just as confused as me about his beloved Norwich. Right, coming up on the channel, we'll get all of this stuff today out. We'll try and get the Fantasy League done as well. And then we'll be back tonight for Luton versus Forest watch along. The review will be tomorrow. Same job for me tomorrow. And then we'll do the preview for the next game round, number 9 at 7 p.m. On Friday, we'll be dearly departed. I am going out for dinner with my beautiful partner, Shaylee, on Friday night. So I will not be covering the Friday night game. I think, is it Reading and Coventry? So Reading will probably have about 3 touches of the ball and win that one 5-0 in that game because they are on fire at the moment. Right, thank you everybody for watching. Over and out. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.